Now this piece that I'm in here is in E minor, and as you can see I have my documentation according to each chord per measure, or whether I'm in 6/8 I have more chords per measure, 2 chords per measure. But let's say for example I wanted to figure out a larger chord voices, or you want to go beyond just the 7th chord and you continue on. I'm going to make this really simple by just doing the key of C. It's a great way to figure this out. Okay, so when you're trying to figure out your upper extension chords, like your extended chords, like 7th and 9th and 11th and 13th chords, write out your scale. So in the case here, I'm in the key of C major. So here's my C major scale. I'm going to write it out in 2 octaves. Okay, so I have a 2-octave scale here. And as I write the numbers below each of my scale degrees, everyone is familiar up into the octave above the root, right? So just continue to add numbers for your 2-octave scale. 11, I'm going to space this out a little bit so I have more room. 12, and I hope everyone is following to see what I'm jotting down here. Does everyone follow? And then 14 and 15. Okay. All right, so when we're building a triad of C major, right, it's C, E, and G. So we have a 3-note chord there. And we want to find the 7th scale degree. We're going to skip our 6th scale degree, and then we're going to go to B. And that lands us on C, E, G, and B for C major 7 chord. So a C major 7 chord will consist of a C, E, G, and a B. Now if we want a C major 9 chord, what note are we going to add to our chord? We're going to add a D. Absolutely. Does everyone see that? So write out your 2-octave scale and write your numbers below each of those scale degrees, and you'll be able to build that chord. Now if you want a C major 11 chord, just in case you've heard musicians talk about that, or heard of an 11 chord, you're going to add the 11th scale degree, and in this case that's going to be a F added to our chord. All right. Now the furthest we can go with this is a 13th chord, and the reason being is because now after our F and we go to the 13th scale degree that adds that A there, we're not going to add a C15 chord because that's just the C, right? So we go as far as 13th chord. Okay, so generally these are more popular. When you get into 11 and 13 chords, they tend to have some other accidentals to modify the notes, like sharp 11 or flat 13. And we're not going to go that far at this time, but those are more complex harmonies, providing more dissonance and giving you more of the jazzier chords that you hear that sound really cool. But this is generally what we just introduced here on our 7 chords, but you certainly can have more. This is a good practice to do, building your chords. And although we started on the 1st scale degree here, we can certainly start on the 2nd and build a D minor chord and have a D minor 13 chord by skipping every other letter. All right. Okay, so just a little bit of extra knowledge for everyone there, those who are in the class and those who are watching the archive. Omitting the 3rd or the 5th helps to add space to the chord. Yes, however, when you omit the 3rd of the chord, you remember that the 3rd of the chord is what provides the quality of the chord. So if I have just C and G, I don't know whether that chord is major or minor. So if we have just C and G, that will be considered like a C5 chord, or as guitars would, players will call it like a power chord, because you're just playing the root and the fifth. So we typically will use the third in there because that's what determines whether the chord is major or minor. But, without going too deep into this, generally, again, we are going to stop here on the seventh chords. And you don't have to apply this for every chord, but sometimes maybe going from the A section to the B chord, that very last chord in bar 8 will sound really nice if you embellish it out to be a seventh chord or possibly a ninth chord. All right, so some additional information: you are not graded on seventh chords for your project. We just like to show you